Hey, what's up, Exit the Matrix family? Bob here. Hey guys, I hope you're having a great day. Thank you for joining me on this morning talk. Hey, before we get started with the video, guys, wanted to give you an update on the purple rhodolite garnets. You guys know now, as a parting gift, for lining up a one-on-one Zoom with me, I'm offering you a gift of some of the garnets that I personally collect. And so recently my wife and we started making some just simple jewelry, like pendant jewelry and stuff, with the garnets. And with with the small ones, with the really jammy ones, the ones that like the river did all the hard work. It tumbled them and polished them, and essentially all I did was just wash them in Dawn soap, just to give them a little more clarity, and clean off any dirt or anything off of them, algae or whatever. And they're pretty awesome. So my wife and the first two necklace sets that we made yesterday, we were wearing them around the house. And you guys got to realize garnets are pretty heavy, and like one of these little pendants filled with them, you can feel it, like it settles, like the length of the necklace that I had mine on, it sets it right over your heart. And I noticed, we both noticed that you can feel it interacting with your heart chakra. It's weird. I mean, it's literally, you can physically feel it. So these gemstones are very powerful. They do interact with your heart chakra and your crown chakra, because the rare purple color of these garnets, because typically garnets are a red or a dark red, right? Anywhere from a light red to a dark red. Well, these are a light pink to a dark purple. And because of the way they're designed naturally, and the way that their color resonance works, or their color resonance vibrates at the level of it interacts with it basically ties your heart chakra with your crown chakra. And just let me tell you, just the first half a day of wearing it, I couldn't believe it. I mean, there's something to these things for reals, folks. So anyways, so I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna still send out some of the raw larger garnets, but I think maybe what we'll do is we'll for those that do book 2 hours or more, they'll also get a necklace with the pendant. So they'll get the little gemmies, they'll get the necklace set up, and you'll also get a little bag of some of the larger raw garnets too. Well, not quite raw. I've been working on, you guys know that, those that you follow me, that I talk about all the time, but I've been perfecting the process of hitting them up with muriatic acid and other things to chemically clean off the rock matrix off of the gems as much as possible, without having to grind them or anything like that, or try to tumble them in a rock tumbler, because garnets will eat each other up, folks. They're a hard stone, but they'll fracture each other if you tumble them together. So you got to be real careful about that. So I found the chemical method is the best way to do it. It actually causes the least amount of damage to the gems. So anyways, guys, if you're interested in that still, hit me up. This has been a work in progress, and I've been trying to figure out how to add the most value. What to do. I have stockpiles of these garnets, folks, because I hunt them all the time. And I know some really great places, some very distinct places I get them from. And anyways, so I think today when I get home, I might do a little quick video on these so you guys can see what I'm talking about, and look at what you would receive as a parting gift. Your energy for mine, and plus you get a copy of the Zoom. So anyways, guys, one more thing before we get rolling here. I just keep your heads on straight, folks. Look, don't be deceived. We're watching with all these clamorings, we'll call it that, because I can't use the R word probably here on YouTube. It'll get probably censored. Or shadow banned, the video. But with the clamoring going on in LA and other places right now, you got to understand this is all scripted. I'm not talking about scripted by the administration. I'm talking about scripted by far left groups that are backed by billionaire funders. And this has been planned, for months. And we all knew it was coming, right? Another summer of love, right? So just stay safe, folks. I would avoid the big cities right now, the downtown areas, because this is going to start rolling out across the nation. Every major city is going to have this going on. Like, look, folks, we're in the middle of a major crossroads for this nation. It's, are we going to preserve the constitutional republic and liberty and freedom, or at least the illusion of freedom, right? We all know that there's no true freedom in this realm, but at least as close of it as you can get with the man-made systems, and the Anunnaki-made systems that rule us. But these people plan on bringing in a new system and overthrowing this nation. And, these are all typical Marxist, Saul Alinsky tactics that's going on right now. And the fact that other people can't see this, it's unbelievable. But look, just keep your heads on straight, take care of your families, stay out of these big city areas. No reason to be fooling around and getting in the middle of this, It's all been planned. Don't get sucked into the trap, okay? But anyways, guys, let's move on. Look, let's talk about something a little more interesting. And look, we could talk about politics and all these things all day long. But like I said, they're all planned events. So let's talk about stuff that maybe in the mainstream you wouldn't hear about. So we've been doing videos on the video game theory, all kinds of videos lately. Why are we here? AI and robotics, right? So I had an epiphany yesterday because I was listening to some NDE accounts, and there's just like an itch in the back of my mind or my spirit or consciousness. And it just keeps making me think a little more about like what we've been talking about, and like maybe taking it all a step further and trying to figure out really why are we here? What is this place? Like, what is going on? And then when you listen to these NDE accounts, it's so odd. I mean, like, you need to come here to learn, to grow your spirit, right? But yet, if we're spirits and we're infinitely connected in with the source, like infinite beings, and which would make us like, if you were to put it in time, billions of years old, right? Or I don't know how spirits are created or where they're created or consciousness. I don't know how it, how the source fractalizes itself. I don't know these mysteries, but isn't it weird? Like, why do we need to go through this? What's the point, right? The training, like, why go from a high dimension, pure love and light and, pure manifestation, and then come to this world that's the exact opposite of that? Go through all this torture of living here. And look, folks, I know it's not all bad. Look, I know. Let's say the extremes of good and bad, of duality, of, excitement and, and of, negative things, sorrow and all that kind of stuff. I mean, just the struggle here, the debt slavery, but also the freedom to be able to go out and walk in nature and connect and on a higher level. I mean, it's like so many extremes, right? And it depends on your perspective. Look, you're born into a wealthy family and daddy set you up to go to a good college, and you have a really heavy 6-figure income, and you got a good bank account, and you can travel the world 2 or 3 times a year and not worry about just paying your utility bills and making sure you can pay your rent or mortgage, and you probably feel like this world is the paradise, right? But then other people are born into this world, and maybe they living in like mud huts in Africa, and they're they have like 10 kids because maybe only one of them survives to 10 years old, and they got dirty water, and they got drought conditions and lack of food, and I just, like, for them, Earth is hell, right? I mean, this world is nothing but negative for that person. So you have totally different perspectives. And I know the New Agers, you just have to think love and light and shift your perspective, and it's all fantastic. You'll instantly manifest a great life then. Those people just start manifesting correctly. But it's so weird, right? When people have an NDE and they're given this choice, like, well, you can go ahead and go back, or you can go ahead and stay. It's your choice. But yet, then a lot of times when they say it's your choice, you ever notice how, like, almost every NDE says, I don't want to go back to Earth, it sucks. No, I'm cool. This is fantastic. I want to stay here. And then they'll turn around and say, well, let us show you what you could accomplish, or what you're leaving, or who you're leaving behind, or how to affect them. Or it's like they play this game of free will, but then they yank the rug out from under you. This is one thing I struggle with the ND accounts, folks. I mean, there's always some weird feeling about that I get. It's like, why? Like, they tell you have the choice, but then when these people say they don't want to come back, they either force them back, or they try to trick them or entice them or talk them into coming back. Why? Why does it matter so much? Right? And I started realizing something. Look, folks, imagine, like I've said, with the if you guys listen to my last 2 talks on robots and AI, and then the other one we were doing on video game theory, we've talked a little bit about this, but I want to deep dive into this thought more. But what I'm talking about is, like, what if in the far past a super advanced civilization that maybe was third dimensionally stationed, or is based in the third dimension, was able to get to such a level of technology that they learned, or they figured out how to build these, like, metaverse, right? Like, almost like Zuckerberg wants to do, but let's just say way more advanced, right? And all-encompassing. And they were successful. And they figured out a way to take consciousness and upload it into these simulations that were created. And then over time, these simulations just spawn. It was like layers of simulations were created. And the consciousness, once it was out of the body, it could survive forever. So what they did was they created different games, different scenarios, different worlds to go plug your consciousness into, to incarnate into. And then they had to go in these worlds and create avatars for the human consciousness, or maybe not even human, for whatever consciousness we are, to immerse ourselves into these realms, to have a prototype, upright, humanoid avatar to interact in these realms and to come experience them. Now, we could sit here and say it's for training, it's like a classroom, it's for the experience, right? But folks, have you ever thought about this for once? What if that is the nature of our species, of our civilization, that we colonate dimensions by projecting our consciousness into those dimensions? And once we get our consciousness in these dimensions, we create avatar bodies, which gives us a vehicle to immerse ourselves into these realms. And then what we do is we start building from scratch civilizations in these realms. And then when the avatar stops operating, then we then you go back into this in-between realm or in-between realms area, the void, right? And maybe there's a whole world built in the in-between realms, and that's our true home. And we get a rest for a little while, and this and that, and then, just like astronauts, we get suited up again. We get sent into another realm again, and we get suited up in an avatar, the space suit, right? That allows us to interact with the space of that realm. I don't know if you guys can wrap your mind about what I'm trying to explain here, because this is very hard to explain, to put into words. But it could be that we're being sent on missions to colonize dimensions. And that Earth, this realm, is one such dimension, one such place. And that we are here to colonize. I don't know, it sounds crazy, right? But think about it. If you listen to NDE accounts, they always talk about, or not all of them, but a lot of them talk about, that there are other worlds that we can go incarnate on different from Earth. That there are other avatars that we can experience, immerse ourselves into other realms or other worlds. And that Earth is not the only one. And it makes me think about Darius J. Wright and what he talks about with his regular controlled OBEs and mapping the other side of the veil. And he says that there's like these libraries that have just stacks of worlds on them. They look like little globes, right? But it's not that these worlds are shaped like planets. It's like that they're like round or spherical systems where everything's contained in them. Essentially, the world itself is a plane, but the whole thing is construct is like a sphere. So it's actually not flat Earth or spherical Earth like what everybody argues about here, but it's a world that's, or you could even call it a simulation that is both. But he says there's these shelves. He calls it God's shelves, or God's laboratory or library. And there's just shelves with all these worlds, and you can pick one of these worlds to incarnate into. But it makes you wonder why? Why? If we're instant manifestors on the other side, we're tapped into the Akashic records of all existence. We have all the knowledge of the universe at our fingertips, or at our consciousness, I guess you could say. Then what the hell, man? What the hell is the point of all this, right? And what is the big deal about, when people go have an NDE about them wanting to send them back so bad? You got to complete the mission or the task. What task or mission? Well, you had soul contracts. Contracts? I don't know, folks. It's just, I've been trying to make sense out of all this, and just cross-referencing it with ancient teachings and the cuneiform, and just what we're watching happen here on Earth. And it's just trying to make sense of it all. But I started having this intuition or these thoughts yesterday about what if that's how we conquer worlds. If that's how our species or our group of whatever the hell we even really are. Because we're not the human bodies, right? These are the spacesuits. So we're like a race of beings that are like spirit beings. And then we create avatars in worlds to give us the ability to immerse ourselves into a working vessel that lets us interact with that realm. Gives us the illusion that we're that avatar, in fact. And why go through the mind wipe, right? Well, think about it, folks. If you take spirits from a high realm that are in love and light at a high vibration and don't want for anything, that can literally do anything we want, gods, you could say, children of God, godlings, then what the heck, man? Why come here? Well, of course they would have to mind wipe us. Because can you think about how traumatic it is coming into this world? Knowing what this world really is? That it's a world of slavery and misery and duality and everything else. Yes, some good, but bad too. But it's so different from where we come from. So, I don't know. This is something I've been really trying to figure out, folks. And it's odd. It really is odd. But, of course, if you were sent here on a mission to colonize this realm, to build this realm up, to terraform this realm, then, and you come from a place like we do come from, you would have to put people through the mind wipe, right? Because they're gonna hate this place. And it's like everybody feels like they don't belong here. A lot of NDEers, when they come back, they go through massive depression because they tasted heaven. And now they're back in this shithole world. You know what I mean? And it's like these people were willing to forsake their own family members even. Like, when they're on the other side, they're like, oh, okay, well, I see now that was all an illusion and that, you know, the spirit can't be harmed. And, well, yes, I'll leave my husband and kids behind, but they'll be okay. I want to stay here. I mean, they're so quick to, like, when the people are on the other side, they're so quick to just jump to the conclusion that, nope, I want to stay here. Nope, I don't care about who I'm leaving behind. There are a few folks, and I will allude to this, that are worried about their, you know, and a lot of times it's like women, if they just had a baby, you know, it's like a baby, man. Like, that's an even stronger pull, perhaps, than the security and the love and peace in the higher realm. That they're willing to come back for that sacrifice for that child, right? But, you know, older kids and a longer marriage, they'll be okay. They'll survive. They'll be fine without me. I know now. You know, it's a game. It's a simulation. It's an illusion. But why, though, man? That's the thing that I just keep struggling with, is why? And if we all choose to come here, then why do you got to do the mind wipe? Okay, I get it. The game won't be good if you know the whole game and the rules of the game up front, right? It's better to figure the game out when you're immersed in it, you know, kind of forced to on the fly. I get that, okay? And is it a training module? Well, if it's a training module, then it wouldn't help if you kind of cheated it, right? The whole point of it being like a type of learning module or a classroom would be that you would have to figure it out as you go. You know, that's the whole point of like a simulator or something, right? You know, when the first few times you do it, you don't know what to expect, and, you know, it's kind of breaking you in on whatever you're trying to learn what to do, right? Like a flight simulator or something. But after a while, you start to figure it out, and I guess people are ready to do the real flying after a while. But I don't know, folks. This is something I've struggled with, and I would love to hear your thoughts, because I mean, I've dove so deep into Hermeticism, so deep into religions, so deep into ancient like writings, cuneiform, and, you know, Vedic and texts and such, and, you know, and I got hundreds of NDEs, folks. I've listened to, read, studied, and I still feel like I have no answers, but just more questions. I don't know, man. I mean, is it possible that this is how we colonize worlds? That maybe the ones that go out and they find these worlds, or, you know, maybe they even create the worlds, the simulations, and then they start out void, right? Which is interesting in the Bible, right? The earth became void, right? Which, man, at one time earth was terraformed, and then it became void, and then it had to be re-terraformed again. Was that a reset it was alluding to? Or was that they had to, like, start over and re-terraform a planet to make it inhabitable, to, you know, to get it ready set the game board up, so to speak, you know, and then create the avatars and perfect the avatars that eventually would allow spirits to come inhabit, to incarnate into this realm in. When you think about the Watchers, and all that, the Elohim, the Shining Ones, the Anunnaki, the Council of the Anuna, and how they had to teach humans how to build civilization and all that, and how they're always shown as, being these like angelic beings with wings and everything. I mean, folks, there's something big here that we just can't put our thumb on. Now, is it just that we find worlds and then we have these Elohim, these maybe more advanced, maybe higher, or maybe they've had more experienced spirits, these, do they go ahead of us, find worlds or dimensions, terraform a world to make it inhabitable, with organic life and such? And then they set up the game board, set up the world, right? And then they work on tinkering until they can create a suitable avatar, for spirits to come in, incarnate into this world. And then once that's all done, then they start having spirits, like on a mission, right? come to the realm that they just terraformed and worked on, and incarnate through the avatars that they fashioned. Remember, folks, I've told you guys, in the Bible and in the cuneiform, it says that man was made in the image of the Elohim, of the Anuna, the Anunnaki, the gods, not the creator of all, not God of the universe. That's our spirits are in that image, folks, okay? So then that makes you wonder. I mean, is this what we're really looking at? That we're here on a space exploration and we're colonizers of this world. Isn't it interesting, folks, how humans are the only form on Earth that don't really go with the natural flow of the Earth? We're not as in tune to the Earth as the animals are here. We're not designed to survive here. The only thing we have that gives us survival over animals and dominion over animals is the human avatar form with the brain, right? The operating system. That gives us intelligence over any of the living animals on Earth, and it gives us the tools, the hands, the feet, right? The form, the upright humanoid form. But isn't it weird how we don't really fit in with this world? We're not designed for this world. And yes, I get it, Darwinists have tried to force us into the model, but now that we're starting to delve into quantum physics and all these things, and having these NDE accounts, I think we're starting to realize that we're not a part of this world, that we're explorers here, right? Now, why? Are we colonizing? Like I said, was this just created to be a training module, a classroom module? I don't know, folks. And if we're all infinitely on the other side, love and light and in an understanding and all knowledge, then why do we need to go through a module on a world like this? Why would we need to go through a training? Why do we need to learn about emotions and all this? That's what I don't get, is that part of the equation. Because a lot of people always ask when they're on the other side, why are we here? And those are the answers they typically get. Because you chose to go there. You wanted to experience the third dimension. You wanted to experience duality. You wanted to, it's a classroom. It's a training module, you come here to train like spirits. So is it maybe new fractals of God that get spawned off, new fractals of consciousness go through these training modules, and that's it kind of teaches you compassion and from experiencing things on a lower dimension, and then we go and colonize worlds or create worlds ourselves? I don't know, folks. This is so beyond what the human mind can conceptualize, or at least it pushes the boundaries of it, right? But I don't know. I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts. What do you think? Are we like colonizers, that we go in and colonize like other worlds and dimensions and such, and that maybe who we call the Elohim, the Anuna and all that, the council, right? That they go ahead of our species, of whatever we are, collective, right? And they terraform the world. They get it ready for it to be inhabitable, and then they fashion upright humanoid avatars that'll eventually allows the rest of us to come incarnate. Maybe they come in spirit form, purely spirit form. That's why they're called the shining ones, right? And then we eventually follow. We're like the troops or the explorers. We come in later, and we put on these spacesuits, the headset, the human avatar, right? And then we come experience this realm, and then we build, create, right here. We build cities, we build, technologies, and we expand here, right? We colonize the world. I don't know, folks. It's interesting. And maybe because when we're in this low carnal form, a lot of times we get caught up in the duality of this realm or realms like this, and we start doing a lot of bad stuff too. And then the whole plan was to build like advanced civilizations and colonies on these planets or realms, but yet humans, we go to war with each other and we do all this other stuff, and then there's major resets that happen, and then we have to restart over building again, and then the only remnants survive, and it's like this ongoing like struggle to get this world to be at an advanced level where we stop dealing, wiping each other out, and we can actually turn this into the Garden of Eden again, right? Maybe it was the Garden of Eden at one time, and then hostilities and division and everything caused the fall of this realm, and they had to hit the reset button a few times, and here we are now. And like I said, look at what's going on in LA and all this. I mean, we just can't stop doing this to each other, right? It's insane. But we get so lost in this realm. We go too deep in it. We get lost in the duality. So, I don't know, guys. Love to hear your thoughts. It's some super dark, like, delving, right? But anyways, guys, when I get home today, I'm going to upload this video, and then I think I'll do a quick video showing you guys the first necklaces we've made, what they look like with the garnets. And yesterday it was just cloudy and rainy the whole day, and the problem with the garnets is they don't really light up that well with fluorescent or halogen lighting, but when they get UV lighting, like sunlight, they light up like a Christmas tree. So I'd like to make a video where I can get them in the sun and show you guys what they really look like. They're really awesome. And these are like nice purple gems. I mean, they look literally like clean little purple gemstones. And they come in different sizes. Some are like rounded off in there. Some are like fractures, like, so they have like harder edges, almost like glass. Some are just, I mean, they're all different shapes, right, in there. So the nice thing is that when you turn them around, they catch different lighting, and they have different facets that light up and stuff. So they're really cool, man. And I think what I'll do is I'll offer, like, if you book an hour with me, you'll still get a sample of garnet, like the larger garnets, like a bag of those, just to do with whatever you'd like as a thank you. But I think if I have people book 2 hours or more, they'll get a necklace pendant too. So and we're going to be starting to sell these at our local farmers market and stuff. So I'm in the process of making a bunch of these right now, so I'll have some set aside. What I'll do is I'll set some aside for my subscribers here and those that book the Zooms, and if any of you are interested in just simply buying one of these off me, we could look at doing that too, though I would really prefer to connect with you guys and do it through Zoom, because it builds the community up a little more, and I get to know some of you guys personally that way and network with you. So anyways, guys, hey, hopefully this was an interesting video or morning talk, right? Hopefully this was an interesting thing to think about, like, because nobody can ever answer, even those that cross over and come back, exactly why we're all here. I mean, they always have some kind of answer, but it's like different, with person to person. And I don't know. Why is it such a big, why they always tell them on that you got to go finish your mission? Finish what mission? Oh, your soul contract. Well, why is there a soul contract? I mean, I don't know, folks. Maybe they know that we loathe to come to these lower dimensions so much that it's like a, a hook and prod, right? They got to kind of trick us into coming here, entice us into coming. And who knows? Isn't it interesting how they say the rewards when you go back to heaven are so great? You know, the way you, if you interact with people good and all that, that's high. Like the currency in the higher dimension is not about what you accomplished here, like what you built, how much money you had, how big your house was, or you know, if you're a PhD or a doctor. No, none of that matters. They always say it's your simple interactions with people that matters the most. That's the highest currency. How you treated other people, which tells me that they've always had trouble keeping this realm under control. That we've always had trouble with division and all these issues because this realm is so low, dimensionally speaking, vibrationally speaking, that spirits struggle to get along here because we get so polarized, right? So this is a hard realm for him to stabilize, you know, completely. It looks like. I mean, geez, look at what's going on right now in the world. I mean, just across the, all over, right? Just constant strife and stuff. It just, you know, we can never all just just realize that we're all brothers and sisters. And we easily get manipulated and divided and polarized. And anyways, so hey guys, I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you later.